arises simultaneously with itself. But if things are completely distinct in nature, they cannot co-occur in the same place, that is, if desire and the desirous one had distinct essences, they could not be in the same place at the same time. 5. If in identity there were simultaneity, then it could occur without association. If in difference there were simultaneity, it could occur without association. The first claim is meant to be a reductio on the view that simultaneous things can be identical. For suppose that there was an apparent pair of events whose simultaneity was in question, say William Clinton's uttering of the oath of office of the presidency and the inauguration of the first president from Arkansas. If there is every reason to believe that these events are distinct but occur at the same time, it is then appropriate to say that they are simultaneous. But if we know that there is in fact only one event, it is at best a joke to assert its simultaneity with itself. The proper thing to say then would be not that the oath-taking was simultaneous with the inauguration but that it was identical to the inauguration. The term translated as association, here, grogspä, can also mean friendship or companionship. The idea is of something distinct but accompanying. For the inauguration and the oath-taking to be associated would be for them to be, say, accompanying rituals that could in principle occur independently. But if they could occur independently, they cannot be identical. Simultaneity requires association of some kind. But identity is incompatible with association. The second claim is meant to be a reductio on the view that simultaneous and associated things could be different in nature. Difference, like identity, is incompatible with association, though for a different reason. The kind of difference at issue here is essential difference. Nagarjuna's claim is that things that are completely different from one another, that are completely independent, ipso facto, stand in no relation to one another and so are not associated. This is another application of the Humean and Tractarian argument Nagarjuna has mobilized above. If phenomena are distinct indeed, being simultaneous, they are not even argued to be causally related. They can be imagined to be separate. So they are then logically independent. But that would then entail that if desire and the desirous one were different in this strong sense, we could imagine a desirous one without desire and vice versa. But that is of course absurd. So if desire and the desirous one are supposed to arise simultaneously, they can neither be identical nor different. Of course, since any inherently different entities, in virtue of having determinate natures, are either identical or different, it follows that desire or the desirous one are either non-simultaneous or empty of inherent existence. 6. If in difference there were simultaneity, how could desire and the desirous one, being different, be established? If they were, they would be simultaneous. This last verse emphasizes and spells out the point scouted above. We are left with a hard choice once we conceive of desire and the desirous one as entities. If desire and the desirous one are conceived as substantially different but simultaneous, we would have to be able to establish the nature and existence of each independent of the other. That is no easy task. If we could accomplish it, simultaneity would be a satisfactory solution to the dilemma. But of course, we cannot. Moreover, Nagarjuna argues in the next verse, if they are completely different, we are left with the peculiar task of explaining why they always go together. And asserting their simultaneity forces this problem. 7. If desire and the desirous one are established as different, then why would you think that they are simultaneous? 8. Since difference is not established. If you assert that they are simultaneous, since they are established as simultaneous, do you also assert that they are different? We have not established, nor could we, that desire and the desirous one are substantially different. But the opponent wishes to assert their simultaneity. Given the entailment of difference by simultaneity as per the argument above, this would force the opponent to assume the impossible burden of demonstrating this substantial difference. The whole quandary is summed up in 6, 9. Since we can't establish their difference in entity, we can't establish the claim that desire and the desirous one arise as distinct, simultaneous phenomena. We don't even have two phenomena to serve as the relata of difference. 9. Since nothing different has been established, if one is asserting simultaneity, which different thing do you want to say is simultaneous? The conclusion, as stated in the special case in the preceding verse, is generalized in the final verse of the chapter. Once we think of entities and their properties in particular, ourselves and our characteristics as independently characterized things, we can make no sense of how they fit together temporally, logically, or ontologically. It is important that objects and their characteristics, persons and their states, be unified. But if we introduce essence and entity into our ontology, this will be impossible. 10. Thus desire and the desirous one cannot be established as simultaneous or not simultaneous. So, like desire, nothing whatever can be established either as simultaneous or as non-simultaneous. As always, however, we must remind ourselves of the sense of the conclusion and of its dialectical context. There is no denial here of the possibility of simultaneity, of the existence of desire, or of the possibility of desirous persons. Rather, there is a denial that any of these things make sense in the context of inherent existence.